there's something about the Meghan McCain view, Ilhan Omar issue that no one else brought up. And I think it's very important that I bring this up, and there's a little bit more underneath the surface than I think everyone else is giving credit for. And it's very distressing, and it sort of, makes my blood boil. So let's take this step by step, and I'll show you what I mean.
This issue is a really intense one for me, and just bear with me, because I know, Sonny, you and I in particular don't always agree on this. And I want to say, first and foremost, anti-Semitism shouldn't be a left or right issue. I don't think we should be politicizing it on either side, because as we know, if it's a tiki torch person in Charlottesville saying Jews will not replace us, or if it's we had Barry Weiss on to talk about sort of these more dog whistle moments that in my...
Barry Weiss, where have I heard that name before?
Kirsten Gillibrand. Oh, monstrous.
Monstrous?
Ideas.
Well, when she was 22, she had...
No, she's an Assad toady.
What does that mean?
She is
What's a toady?
I think that I used that word correctly. Jamie, can you check what toady means?
How could I possibly forget the wise and knowledgeable Barry Weiss?
My view, Ilhan Omar is doing, and she, as of Saturday, hadn't been able to have gone 15 days without saying something anti-Semitic. What's interesting about this is that she is an up-and-coming rising star in the Democratic Party. She's on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine right now. She fits a lot of boxes that Democrats like. She is the first Somali elected member of Congress. She's the first woman, first of two Muslim women elected to Congress, and she's the first minority woman to serve from Minnesota.
Meghan makes a lot of good points. She is very Muslim. Look at her headscarf in the picture behind. Great points, Meghan.
And the problem is right now is there's pressure to support her within the Democratic Party because identity politics and intersectionality is something that is important to Democrats. And I think at this specific moment, this is a watershed moment for Democrats. A lot of Jewish people in this country, I think, are being asked, with the rise of anti-Semitism in this country, is it more important to defend party politics or is it more important to defend anti-Semitism?
Very interesting. Now, it's going to get brought up very soon that Meghan McCain isn't how you say Jewish, and she's going to use that anyway. But I want to roll back just a little bit oh, look at that. It looks like a Jewish person is defending her. So Meghan McCain, with her next statement.
A lot of Jewish people in this country, I think, are being asked, with the rise of anti-Semitism in this country, is it more important to defend party politics or is it more important to defend anti-Semitism?
Right there. Let's flip it back. Right there. So Meghan McCain, obviously, as a non-Jewish person, knows more about what Jewish people should do than Jewish people should, because it's only a choice between, are you defending the party or are you defending anti-Semitism? But it's very interesting how Meghan McCain feels that her point of view, not being in the Jewish religion, is a better, more important viewpoint than actual Jews with their own points of view.
And we can have conversations all day long about how you feel about Israeli politics. Yes, excuse me if you object to it. We can have a conversation all day long about how you feel about Palestinian politics, how you feel about Israeli politics, how you feel about Netanyahu.
Except we definitely won't have that conversation on The View.
But in the same way that I fear what's happening with Corbyn in the UK, I fear that it's seeping its way over here in the United States. And I just present this.
Again, bringing in Jeremy Corbyn for similar bullshit, not really anti-Semitic things, while still, I haven't heard Meghan McCain say one thing about, but Republicans, my team, remember she was earlier, let me flip this back. Earlier, she was saying how important it is that Jews make the right decision that she agrees with, but it's not that important that Republicans make that same decision. She's now choosing party.
This question, which may be an uncomfortable one. If what Ilhan Omar has been saying for the past few weeks were said by a white Republican male, how would you be reacting to it right now?
Has she heard white Republican males speak about being Jewish over, I don't know, the last few decades? I think it's worse if she's truthful about this, because there's a very big distinction that Republicans make, and that is the difference of many Republicans don't care about Jewish people. They just care about the Jewish state, because of their religion. They're evangelical. And in the end times prophecy that they predict will happen, the Jews all die. They're sacrificed to bring back Jesus. Meghan McCain, John McCain kept their religion very, very quiet, very hush-hush. But they were Baptist. And if you look at who McCain is married to right now, very similar. It's all a circle of evangelicals. Again, this is just commentary. I'm not saying that she believes in the end time or that she doesn't really have an opinion or that people that do believe in this end time are telling her to do. I'm just saying from the Republican evangelical point of view, they want all Jews to die, or they believe that the sacrifice of all Jews is necessary for the return of Jesus.
I mean, for me, I object to it no matter who says it.
I'm asking the proverbial question.
The other thing why are they always concentrating on Israel is what I want to know. There's a little tiny place apart in the world. I mean, she's from Mogadishu. Does she object to things they do there? I'm assuming she does. Mm-hmm. And Yemen and Libya and Syria and all the hot spots all over the world. And yet this seems to be the focus of a lot of people around the world, including the UK and here. Israel. And why that particular country? It's very suspicious to me.
Can I say that I 100% agree with you on that? And I think that we should be talking about human rights violations globally, everywhere. In Iran, gay people can be thrown off of buildings for simply being gay. Women can't wear tank tops in the street without being stoned. There are human rights violations going around globally.
Interesting how, well, we're talking about a Muslim congresswoman, Palestinian rights. And Meghan McCain says we have to talk about these worldwide issues and simply brings up another Muslim country of Iran. Gives two examples of stonings that reminded wouldn't be the case if we had never overthrown their democratically elected government, which that wasn't an issue back then. But go on, McCain. Keep making terrible points.
With you, my question to Ilhan Omar is why specifically this area of the world? Why specifically this group of people? And just putting a button on this because I know you've let me filibuster. She is on a committee, a foreign relations committee, that will be in charge of what happens globally with our diplomacy. I'm uncomfortable with that in the same way that I was uncomfortable with Steve King being on.
Right, because Stephen King, who you've really never called out until, I don't know, recently, I haven't really seen her, but I know she hasn't called out Stephen King for decades, even though he had a Confederate flag, even though all these different things. Remember, McCain is not about party unity, except when she's about party unity, and now she's comparing Steve King to Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar, who's making comments that, you know, let me pull up an article and just give a better example that, you know, it might have something to do with this. This kind of action might be what Ilhan Omar is talking about. But as we all know, Meghan McCain cannot help but make this about the person who is the most hurt by this situation, Meghan McCain. Let's listen to what the rest of this very brave woman has to say about stuff that doesn't affect her in the least bit.
Uncomfortable with that in the same way that I was uncomfortable with Steve King being on that
well, to your question, Joy, I think we should talk about the comment that she made that has spurned all of this discussion, right?
There are many comments.
There are many comments, but the comment that she made that we're talking about, that the resolution has come from, she said, so for me, because she has apologized for the other comments, for two of the comments.
Well, she also had a lot of pressure to apologize.
But she did apologize. So the comment she said was, so for me, I want to talk about the political influence in this country that says it is okay for people to push for allegiance to a foreign country. And I want to ask, why is it okay for me to talk about the influence of the NRA, of fossil fuel industries, or big pharma, and not talk about a powerful lobby that is influencing policy? That's what she said. And people say that that is anti-Semitic. When we had let me just finish.
Wow, she literally wasn't speaking for a minute and she already is interrupting Sunny. Good poise, Meghan. We really feel like you're not making this about you, even though you're making it only about you. When Ilhan Omar is talking about is AIPAC, which gives a huge amount of money to members of Congress, and especially if we're against Russia, like we say we are, Russian interference, but we don't take any action against basically the same thing with way more money. that's an issue. And she's making the point that I can say things about the NRA, but I can't say things about Israel. And she's obviously not talking about all Israeli people. She's not talking about the dissolution of Israel. She's saying, hey, maybe Israel should be held accountable when they commit war crimes. Hey, maybe when Israel violates the 1976 borders and just pretends they don't exist. Or even more recently, you had Netanyahu just, today we have an article out where he said that Israel is a Jewish state. You can have other people live here, but only Jews get to have political power. And we give them $10 million a day and a whole bunch of other stuff. It's one of the most fair things you can critique. But, as we all know, all the Christians will call you anti-Semitic because you're Muslim.
Finish. When we had Barry Weiss on as an expert.
Toady, definition of toadies. A person
A
who
sycophant,
flatters or defers to others for
kinda used it right.
self-serving reasons.
A sycophant.
So she's an Assad sycophant. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's known about her.
Like, what did she say that
We have to look.
qualifies her?
I don't remember the details.
We
I've read
probably
it.
should say that before we say that about her. We should probably read it, rather.
Well, I have read it.
And what is anti-Semitic and what isn't? I asked her, is it okay to talk about Israel's policies and not be called anti-Semitic?
And she said yes.
And she said yes. She said where it crosses the line is when you say that Israel does not have the right to exist. That is when it crosses the line. Now, Omar has never suggested that Israel does not have the right to
Can
exist.
I say what she has
So,
said?
to me, it seems to me that Republicans are trying to use this as a wedge issue.
I'm really not.
And I think that...
There you have it, Meghan McCain again, making it about herself. Republicans do this. I'm not. It's not. You're not all Republicans, Meghan. Nice try.
Not you. It's not talking about you.
You know, this selective outrage is kind of crazy because I don't think that the Republicans have moral high ground here.
But it seems like Democrats
I think
are upset
that Kevin
too, though.
McCarthy has used these anti-Semitic tropes. I think that Jim Jordan just recently,
And
tweeted this
against Tom Steyer.
Remember that Ilhan Omar in the West Virginia Republican Party just had this huge poster superimposed with her face with 9/11 terrorists. And I haven't heard any outrage about that coming from the Republican Party.
I'm sure Meghan McCain is about to defend her right now.
So, and all that to say is that this selective outrage, and I will tell you, I take this very personally as a woman of color who has been the subject of so much bigotry. And what a lot of people don't know is that my grandfather is Jewish. He is a Sephardic Jew. And so I have, my family members have received a lot of bigotry. So, I've experienced firsthand in my family anti-Semitism and bigotry for being black. And so I just, this whole, thing,
Sonny,
I think it's just a distraction.
Are you comfortable with me speaking now?
Meghan McCain cannot stand how this segment has stopped being about Meghan McCain, so she, rightly, as the non-Jew, must talk about this Jewish issue with the passion that it deserves. It is being left out by the other Jewish person at the table. Go on, Meghan. We believe in you.
Are we comfortable with me rebutting now?
Yes.
Okay. So she also said Israel has hypnotized the world, suggested that Jews in Israel have bought U.S. politicians all about the Benjamins, implied that American Jews have divided.
It's interesting that no one made the point that the Prime Minister's name is Benjamin Netanyahu.
Loyalties, and it's okay for people to push allegiance to a foreign country. I again say, why this obsession with Jerusalem and Israel? Why this obsession with this specific area of the country? And as you said, as you've said many times, these are dog whistle comments for Jewish Americans.
Yes,
they are.
we
and
agree.
they hear what she's saying. And
she had to apologize for that.
But you have to admit, Meghan, that it is disingenuous of the Republican Party to go after her. This is her point, when they are backing a president who is in bed with dictators committing human rights violations
really
all over the world.
Traffics in bigotry. Traffics in bigotry.
Let's go there.
So just really quickly, since we're talking about I take this very personally. I would go so far as to say I probably verge on being a Zionist as well. But I will say that...
Verge on being a Zionist. Either pick one or don't. Don't half-ass and then say you're passionate.
I don't have family that is Jewish, but Joe Lieberman and Hadassah Lieberman are my family.
Yeah.
Must make issue about myself, even though I'm not a part of... Nice fake tears, Meghan. If she, again, this is a big point. If she is actually crying because of this, it's worse than if she's faking it. Because if she's faking it, she sees that she's losing a battle and articulates, okay, I'm losing a battle, let me try an emotional argument to get the people back on my side. But if she's truthful about it, she thinks that she has a stronger claim to a thing that she herself is phrasing as a Jewish issue than the Jew at the table, than Bernie Sanders defending Ilhan Omar, and that anyone who disagrees with her, whether they be Jewish or not, clearly doesn't understand it as well as her. Meghan McCain, the person whose name we know only because of her father. If Meghan McCain was born in any other family, we would never hear about her. She wouldn't amount to that much. I don't think I'm making a huge stretch to say that she is a child of nepotism. I don't know, maybe in another life she would have to try hard and then she might do better. But this Meghan McCain is making it all about her. She's making it about the Meghanikins. Doesn't work as well as Benjamins. But it's fascinating how Meghan McCain, I've never seen her cry when over an issue like, I don't know, a Republican being anti-Semitic and her feeling terrible about it. And like, why does this party not hold up to these views that I stand for right here as she's talking? Why is it only when a Muslim woman says stuff that's pretty reasonable that Meghan McCain begins crying? Perhaps subconsciously, consciously, acting, not acting. The real issue that we're dealing with is twofold. An internal power struggle inside the Democratic Party is causing an issue that really isn't an issue to come to light that otherwise wouldn't if there was no power struggle. And the important part that I wanted to bring up all this time, that Meghan McCain values the Jewish state more than Jewish people. There's an equivalent tweet with Ben Shapiro and, what's her name? The one that writes all the books, but they aren't really good. Ann Coulter. There's a tweet back then where he's like, she can be as anti-Semitic as she wants, but the second she challenges Israel, we have problems. And that's what I see from Meghan McCain. Meghan McCain doesn't have an issue with anti-Semitism at all, or otherwise it would have gotten brought up 100 times by her. She would have been the champion of saying, I represent the Republican Party that isn't anti-Semitic. But no. She resents a challenge to the power of Israel, even if Israel is in the wrong. Meghan McCain is threatened by the superiority complex of Israel being threatened. Meghan McCain is threatened by the concept that they can't put out and throw out all the Palestinians. Meghan McCain is threatened that shirts like this that are made in Israel, and you can see right there, 1 shot, 2 kills with a pregnant woman holding a Molotov or an AK-47 or something, and then a small child. Meghan McCain has no issue with that. She has an issue with that being threatened. She has an issue with Israel acting like an apartheid state, being threatened. She's never cared about the Jews in the country. She just cares about its placement for foreign policy like her daddy. That's all it is. Everyone who I mentioned earlier about the evangelical Armageddon for the rebirth of Jesus, so that the entire planet is destroyed and they are transcended to heaven. So, you know, the death of billions so that a few 100 million or 100 million or however many evangelicals are in this country at this point can go to heaven, even though it kills the rest of the planet. Part of that requires the Jewish state to exist so that it can be annihilated in a war, a huge war in the Middle East. That is the Republican structural need for Israel is those 2 points. Their biblical prophecy and a foothold that the U.S. military can work out of. They don't care about the Jews at all. They don't like the Jews, let's be real. I'm not sure Meghan McCain, I want to speak for her and say she doesn't actually like Jews. She apparently has a family that aren't family that are Jewish. But she doesn't care about anti-Semitism. She cares about that.
And I take the hate crimes rising in this country incredibly seriously, and I think what's happening in Europe is really scary. And I'm sorry if I'm getting emotional, but
You're right.
the idea that this is politicized, I'm really not. I was very nervous to talk about this on the show because I thought it would become politicized, and it really shouldn't be. On both sides, it should be called out.
Right.
And just because I don't technically have Jewish family that are blood related to me, it doesn't mean I don't take this as seriously, and it is very dangerous. Very dangerous. And I think we all collectively as Americans on both sides, and what Ilhan Omar is saying is very scary to me, and it's very scary to a lot of people, and I don't think you have to be Jewish to recognize that.
I'm going to leave it there, but I'm going to say again, she better be gaslighting, because if she means it, that's even scarier. Till next time, guys. Hey guys, do you like the video? If so, be sure to give us a sub and hit the bell for notification. You know how YouTube is. And if you have the time, check us out on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages, and check us out at hardlensmedia.com. Be sure to check out our Patreon if you really support what we do and want to support us at independent media